We are pleased to present the International Hydrodiplomacy, Building and Strengthening Regional Institutions for Water Conflict Prevention, pre-conference study commissioned and led by the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung with support from the Stimson Center. Effectiveness, Challenges, and Potentials of Transboundary Water Governance in the Euphrates-Tigris River Basin by Hamza Sharif and Tugba Evrim Madin. Introduction and Overview. The Euphrates-Tigris ET basin, shared predominantly by Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran, is one of the most important river basins of the Middle East. Estimates for the total flow of the ET and their tributaries vary between 68 billion cubic meters and 84.5 billion cubic meters. However, in the upcoming years, the water flow rate is expected to decrease due to climate change coupled with a demand surge owing to population rise, increase in agricultural activities, and rapid urbanization in the river basin area. Furthermore, there is added pressure on water resources, not only in terms of quantity, but also quality, especially due to rising water salinity, mainly in the downstream Basra. Research carried out by scholars and experts on the ET basin at all levels, national, regional, and international, have concluded that the basin faces multiple challenges that should be considered jointly by all riparian countries to avoid future disputes and water conflicts. Historically, there were no disputes between the riparian countries. In fact, initially the only concerns which are still existent were for downstream countries like Iraq, related to floods and flood control. After 1975, the dam constructions and irrigation projects in the upstream countries set up to meet their national demands for increased power generation and water storage served to be a cause of concern for downstream countries. The degradation of Iraq's water infrastructure during the previous few decades as a result of several wars, 1980 to 1988, 1990 to 1991, and 2003, coupled with international sanctions from 1991 to 2003, managed to further complicate matters downstream. Over the years, the riparian countries strive to negotiate on both bilateral and trilateral levels regarding more efficient water utilization of the ET basin, but were not able to reach any final agreements on equitable water allocation. While Turkey and Iraq have repeatedly stated their intent towards river basin cooperation, unfortunately, cooperative initiatives among the riparian countries since the 1980s have been interrupted by the region's political instabilities, conflicts, and wars. Climate change is another factor which has heavily influenced the hydrology of the basin in recent years. It is estimated that water scarcity will further strain the ET river basin in the near future. Studies indicate that the surface temperature in the Middle East will increase by 2.5 to 5.5 degrees Celsius in the upcoming years, slashing the average precipitation rate by 20%, which will result in more evaporation from water reservoirs and consequently cause more droughts. These climate-induced changes are likely to create significant impacts on water inflows to Turkey, Syria, and Iraq, and also affect the water quality in the river basin. As Figure 3 illustrates, the water quality of the Tigris River, as estimated by the total dissolved solids (TDS) value, at the Turkish border is 280 ppm, but increases to 1800 ppm at downstream of Basra due to the irrigation and agricultural activities as well as high evaporation. Transboundary water negotiations and engagement. Between 1960 to 1980, the three riparian countries, Turkey, Iraq, and Syria, held unofficial meetings and exchanged information on technical issues under Turkey's initiative. Since 1980, these meetings have become official under the Joint Technical Committee meetings. In this context, Turkey and Syria signed a protocol on economic cooperation in 1987. an important turning point in terms of addressing the transboundary water issues affecting the basin. The protocol was agreed to be a temporary legal document until a final agreement among the three riparian countries was reached. Under Article 6 of the protocol, Turkey committed to release a yearly average of more than 500 cubic meter per second at the Turkish-Syrian border, and in cases where monthly flow falls below the level of 500 cubic meter per second, the Turkish side agreed to make up the difference during the following month, during the filling up period of the Ataturk Dam reservoir. Within the framework of a bilateral agreement signed between Iraq and Syria in 1989, the two countries agreed that 58% of the water released by Turkey from the Euphrates would be allocated to Iraq. In another development, the Turkish government in the early 2000s embarked upon cooperative foreign policy initiatives involving its southern neighbors, Syria and Iraq in particular. To this end, an important step that strengthened political and economic relations between Turkey and Iraq was the creation of a high-level Strategic Cooperation Council, HSCC, with a joint political declaration signed in Baghdad on 10 July 2008. Similarly, another such bilateral HSCC was created between Turkey and Syria on 22 December 2009, with the countries signing a range of MOUs, including 4 related to the Euphrates, Tigris, and the Orontes. The 2008 HSCC empowered Turkey and Iraq to draft and sign different memorandums of understanding, MOUs, to work collaboratively on a number of socio-economic issues, including water resources. On 15 October 2009, 48 such MOUs were signed between Turkey and Iraq, including 1 MOU in the field of water, with direct references to cooperation on water resource management, modernization of irrigation systems, and exchange of hydrological and meteorological information. The MOU also identified the need for an urgent assessment of water resources, given the demand pressures and exacerbating climate conditions. These initiatives were followed by a second HSCC meeting between Turkey and Iraq in 2014, based on which the countries developed yet another MOU, 2014, which is in the process of being enforced. However, the ratification and efficient implementation of these bilateral MOUs continues to be strained by the often tense political situation in the region. The dwindling political will, particularly in the context of the developments in Syria, hampers effective cooperation. Additionally, in the absence of adequate institutional capacities, the protocols may fall short to live up to their coordinated water policy vision. The Friendship Dam serves to be a case in point. In February 2011, Turkey and Syria agreed to launch a joint Friendship Dam on the border between the two countries as a sign of good neighborhood that would further strengthen their relationship. This collaboration raised public confidence that water issues in the Middle East could be solved through close cooperation. Unfortunately, the Friendship Dam project was suspended due to the conflict that broke out in Syria in March 2011. On top of existing MOUs, in 2019, Turkey proposed a Turkey-Iraq action plan in the field of water to establish a high-level bilateral team between the two countries, consisting of around 50 water specialists and 100 technical experts from each, under the head of the presidency of the Turkish Republic's Special Envoy to Iraq. The task of this joint team was to study mutual water issues and propose solutions to the respective decision-makers in both countries accordingly. This joint team also aimed at bringing best practices from Turkey to Iraq and focused on solving problems in Iraq emanating from waterborne diseases, lack of modern irrigation system, and poor water efficiency. The team was further required to establish a Turkey-Iraq Water Research Center in Baghdad. Building on the cooperative work of the joint team of water experts from Turkey and Iraq, Turkey appointed a special envoy to Iraq to resolve the water-related issues between the two countries. In that vein, the action plan was submitted to the Iraqi side and was well received. The two countries remain engaged on the action plan, and the door remains open to Syria to join these cooperative activities when the war is over and the political situation settles down. Water experts in the region welcome the action plan as a positive step in the right direction and in line with water development cooperation following the 1946 Treaty of Good Neighborly Relations between Iraq and Turkey. Despite the positive developments surrounding the Turkish-Iraqi action plan, there remain several unresolved differences between riparian countries which have impacted the extent of success of such endeavors, similar to the shortcomings of the numerous initiatives noted above. The overall political instability and fragile security conditions still serve as roadblocks to greater transboundary water governance in the region. Too often, national interests have been a guiding factor in how transboundary water governance is perceived in the region, as each riparian country depends on the ET River Basin for its agricultural production and/or hydropower development. Consequently, transboundary water resources tend to also become heavily politicized rather than being understood more technically for the benefit of all parties involved. Additionally, there should also be due consideration for the meaning and value of water within each country. For example, in Iraq, water plays a part in its general elections, while this is not the case in Turkey. In order to counter these challenges and avoid inefficient water usage, a multidisciplinary approach must be applied, which includes technical perspectives along with other areas of decision-making. Despite recent positive political overtures from all sides, a lot remains to be done. All riparian countries must work in tandem to prepare and assess a common inventory of water and land resources in the ET River Basin, so to enhance cooperation and coordination towards better transboundary water governance. Turkey holds the view that ET is one single basin. Both rivers originate in Turkey, flow through Iraq and Syria, and form the Shatt al-Arab in the north of Basra in Iraq, as one river discharges into the Gulf. In contrast, Iraq and Syria consider them as two separate basins, highlighting that the Tartar Canal is an artificial canal for flood control, and that there are differences in the geographical nature of the two rivers. The Tigris River has tributaries with Iran, which provides 13% of the Tigris water for Iraq, and the quantity of Tigris water is not sufficient to serve as an additional source for the Euphrates via the Tartar Canal. Yet again, the unresolved nature of many of these issues and inability to reach transboundary cooperation can also be attributed to the domestic politics of each country. The changing political landscape within Iraq since 1958, coupled with wars on its borders, the international sanctions through 1991 to 2003, and the U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003, followed by ongoing armed conflicts until 2016, have all resulted in destruction and neglection of water infrastructure and managed to diminish the importance of water issues and the priorities of the Iraqi government. At CUS MDPD, we design and implement multi-stakeholder dialogues, focusing on the nexus of democracy and governance, peace and security, and climate and energy. Join our LinkedIn community, tag us in your tweets, and add us on Facebook. Thank you for tuning in to us on SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube. Visit our website for our latest publications.